Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining me from. It's a bit darker. Let's just test this out. Doesn't seem to be doing too much. Hey, Jen B, how you doing? So we're here for the daily market analysis, 3rd of April, next quarter of the year, second quarter of the year. If you're on the session, drop a message, put it into the chat, say hi, let me know you're here, and we'll get started shortly. Hey Spiros, how you doing? We had quite a number of good trades yesterday, not yesterday, on Friday. I did jump into some of them. I'll share them with you later. And also today I have been, I seem to be saying the same thing, but I was scalping the yen to the upside. I'm doing very well, Spiros. Hey Biel, how you doing? Hi Hisham. Good afternoon, Vinesha. Every day, well, every time we do this session, I seem to be mispronouncing someone's name, so 1,000 apologies for that. We'll give it a minute or two before we get started. Hey Jamil, how you doing? Good morning. And in the meantime, if you guys can think of any questions that you have, do feel free, let me know. There was a big news over the weekend. Well, not really over the weekend, but pretty much we saw the effect of that this morning. So I'll tell you more about that shortly. Yeah, if you have any questions, any trades in particular that you were in, whether you made money or lost money, feel free to put it into the chat, share it with me, let me know. I'll be happy to do a quick review together with you guys. Hey Nick, good day, how you doing? One more minute and we will get rolling. Recently been addicted to this vitamin C drink. Don't know if it helps, right? Don't know if it helps. Whether I can have too much vitamin C or not, but that's something to drink. Any other suggestions on what else I should be drinking? I'll look forward to that. What do you guys drink? I used to go for 5 coffees a day, maybe 6. Then it came to the point where I thought, I have to cut down. Alrighty, let's get going. So again, thank you all for attending the daily market analysis. For the regulars, welcome back to the community. I know why you're here. We're looking at the daily market analysis where we'll be sharing with you a review of what happened in terms of fundamentals, a preview of what's coming up. We look at the technicals, we look at the price action, we look at support resistance levels, the trend, put that together to identify higher probability trade setups, right? So if you're new to the session, please feel free to drop a message, say hi, let me know you're here, let me know where you're joining from at any point in time. And at any point in time, if you do have any questions, please feel free to put it into the chat, let me know. I'll be happy to elaborate more, repeat on any points, just for you guys, just so that you get the absolute attention and information, the best information that you guys require. All right. Hey, Angel Case, good to see you here. Good morning. So With that said, let's keep going. Quick disclaimer, as usual, any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as educational material only. Your objectives, financial situation, and needs has not been considered, and you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. Please remember to do your own due diligence because the contents of this webinar are not intended to be a recommendation to trade a financial product. All right. So what it means is that if you do jump into any trades, please make sure it fits with your own trading strategy. Please make sure it fits with your risk profile. You're not over leveraging. You're not jumping to all the trades because that's going to definitely screw with your trading psychology. Okay. Trading methodology in terms of the strategy, the entry levels, the exit levels, it's really a very small portion of trading well. The secret to trading well is that psychology. And we did a quick survey with you guys, and that seems to be the one thing that a lot of people have responded to about. Okay, so we're looking at really guiding you through not just the process of getting into a trade, but also what to do during a trade, how to prevent that impulsiveness. Right, a couple of you have said about impulsiveness, how to reduce that. You can't prevent that. And also how to reduce the FOMO and the greed, all that put together. Okay, so let's keep going. What we just have right now coming out, CPI 0.2. That's pretty good news there. Okay, so big news item looking at Forex Factory to start off with was the where was it? Let me see. There was a news item here. I'm sure you all know. Actually, before I put it in, do you guys know what's the big news items I'm going to refer to before I tell you about it, or while I'm looking for that headline? Where is the headline? Ah, man. Do you know what was the big item I was going to talk about? Okay, I got it. Anyone? Was a big news item that caused a huge gap. BL has it. Gen B and BL at the same time, one on TradingView, one on YouTube, both came in and said OPEC oil production cut. Yes, the big surprise there was that you can see OPEC announces surprise cuts of around 1.16 million barrels per day from May to year end. All right. Um, typically, what the OPEC does is they do signal, they do talk about production cuts or cuts of production levels. They will typically say that they're cutting production because of a reason, and then after that say that they're going to adjust it back in the short or medium term. This is a bit of a surprise. One is because this came as a surprise, right? A million barrels a day is quite significant. Hey, Matt Maniac, how you doing? Hey, M Leader, how you doing? All right, it's quite significant, a million barrels per day, and also that they were only recently talking about not requiring to cut rate or to cut production levels, or that they intended to keep production levels at the current level. Okay, so it was a bit of a surprise there, and also it's a cut for quite a long period of time from May to year end, not ruling out the possibility that they could adjust it back later into the year, but to actually say that they're going to cut for this period of time is quite significant. And because of that, what we actually saw here now on the charts for WTI, you can see that on Friday night, Saturday morning, it was at 75.67. Right? And then price just shot straight up. It was a big gap, pushed up towards that 81.46. because of this news, right? Production cut, a cut in production. Hey, Aya, coming. How you doing? Happy week ahead, right? A cut in production is a cut in supply. So a cut in supply with the same level of demand would lead to that big push up in price. Okay, so that's why we saw this big push up on WTI and also on crude, right? Also on Brent, where we saw it go from just below 80 all the way up to that 84, currently at the 84 level. The typical, and I posted about this, I'll show you guys. I posted about this here. There was that big news as a plug-in there. OPEC makes surprise 1 million barrel cut in new inflation risk, right? It's about they abandoned the previous assurances that would hold supply steady. Given that they have cut and given that you've seen that big push in oil prices, in energy prices, that's going to translate, right? Especially given that they're going to hold it to the end of the year, or that they say they're going to hold it to the end of the year. This is going to translate to higher production cost, right? Higher production cost because you need WTI, you need oil, crude oil, Brent for pretty much everything, right? So higher production cost is going to lead to that possibly higher inflation, right? We've seen inflation drop pretty much in most of the major economies, or in all economies, because central banks have been increasing rates, leading to that drop in inflation, but also because we had seen previously that drop in energy prices, right? That drop in energy prices leading to that drop, or that slow drop in inflation. So at this point, this big push up could lead to renewed concerns over inflation growth, right? So Nick says, guess inflation figures could be affected. Yeah, most likely. I don't think it'll be an immediate impact, right? I don't think it'll be an immediate impact because inflation numbers are slightly backward looking, right? You're not looking at inflation numbers into the future. You're looking at what was inflation numbers. So I think that, and this was actually a point raised by Chair Powell from the FOMC, where when he was testifying at Congress, he said, we're ready to increase rates further if required because due to data, right? And he said that, I'm not word for word, but he said something like the current drop in inflation could be fake, right? Not word for word. He didn't say fake, but I can't remember what he said. Could be fake because of the way data was presenting it. So this big push up in production levels could renew the inflation number back up, or the inflation fear back up. And now you think about it, if inflation continues climbing with low interest rates and then leading to that GDP number possibly sitting stagnant after the concerns over inflationary growth is going to renew the fears of global recessionary concerns. Okay, so this big move in the morning might be short term, might be medium term, but it could lead to bigger impact on inflation, on the increased recessionary fears globally. Okay, so just watch this, just be extra careful. Now, with the way that the price is moving, typically we will see price recover or close the gap, right? Typically we always see price close the gap before continuing on its way up. At this point, I'm not sure whether it's quite a big gap, so I'm not sure whether it will be able to close the gap quickly. If you look at it on the H4 time frame, big gap with the next key level towards that 87 level. We're at 84 now on Brent. Resistance levels at 87. So we might see it hit 87, maybe even that 89, 90 level. Then after that, come back down, close the gap, and push back up again. All right. So big news there on the OPEC production level cut of 1 million barrels per day. Hey Jose, how are you doing? Okay, so that news was there, and that was a big one. That was the big one for today, which happened, and we saw the price move. Wasn't able to catch that move, or didn't catch that move because it happened over the weekend. Big gap up. Even if you had a pending, for some funny reason, if you had a pending order to buy, you'll probably be entered, or your trade would have entered right at the top, because that gap, your trade wouldn't have been filled. All right. So wasn't able to, or rather didn't catch this move at all. With that quick review of what happened on Friday, although it's been pretty much offset now, the US, we were talking about this through the week last week and more about it on Friday. The core PCE price index month to month was 0.6, got revised down to a 0.5. They expected a 0.4. It came out at a 0.3, right? So I think, if I remember correctly, I was looking at a 0.4 to a 0.3. Came out as a slowdown. We did see the dollar test a little bit. You can see here now, coming to the chart on the dollar index on Friday, on the news release at 8:30 GMT plus 8. Right, this is 8 o'clock. We did see price trade down, right? Trade down slightly from that 102, almost 102.50 down to the 102.25 before pushing up. So it's following that arrow that we have all the way up. Nice move to the upside. It hit our level at 103, failed to break above 103 strongly, and right now has been trading down over the last 2 hours. So this morning it was pushing to the upside. I was buying yen to the upside. It hit a level, I'll show you that shortly. And the dollar hit that 103 level, and now is trading back down, right? It's trading back down. Was a 0.7, expected 0.4, came out at a 0.2. And if you look at the Swiss franc, dollar Swissy, we did see the Swiss franc drop back down, strengthen, not just because of the Swiss franc strengthening, but also because of that dollar dropping, right? So you can see the 2 o'clock period, I'll zoom in a bit, drop down, bounce back up, and then now trading back down again. So why is this happening? Inflation is, on a month-to-month basis, slowing down from a 0.7 to a 0.2. Very significant slowdown on a month-to-month basis. That's going to significantly reduce the likelihood or the need for the Swiss National Bank to hike rates further. Although I do think they might, but for now, for the interim, likelihood is going to reduce for them to hike rates further. And that's why we see the US Swiss franc trade down initially because of that dollar weakness, but then it closed back up, and then now, because it's a month-to-month number, doesn't have that big impact. Right now it's still trending down, or not trending down, trading down because of that dollar weakness. Okay, so that's what's happened so far. Through to tonight, 10 p.m. GMT plus 8, we do have the US ISM manufacturing PMI numbers to be released. Was 47.7, expected 47.5. So they're expecting a small drop in the manufacturing PMI number. Ultimately, it is still below 50. right? And I've told you this before. As PMI is below the 50 number or the 50 level, that's going to signal a contraction. A contraction in this case, the manufacturing industry or the manufacturing sector for the US. And if it does come out at that 47.5, it's also going to show a slight increasing. So it sounds really stupid, but there's a slight increase in the effect of contraction over the manufacturing sector. Okay, so might see some weakness, additional weakness coming into the US if we do see this being released at that 47.5 or even that 47 level. Okay, makes sense so far? If it does make sense, put it into the chat, let me know that it makes sense. It's all good. Let me know, put it into the chat, let me know. Okay, good stuff. All right, cool. So with that said, the next, so we do have OPEC meetings there, but it's already been released, unless they come out and say, hey, no, we made a mistake, but I think that's quite unlikely. With that, we do also have, right, if you are looking to get into a trade on the Aussie dollar, just be super careful. 12:30 tomorrow, my time tomorrow, GMT plus 8, 12:30. We do have the Aussie or the RBA with the interest rate decision, 3.6% previously. Expected, a little bit of a surprise, expected to do a 25 basis point rate hike to a 3.85%. All right. Why I say it's a little bit of a surprise is because they are hiking rates. I think it was last week. Let me just have a quick gander. Yeah, so it was just last Wednesday where Australian CPI data year on year went from a 7.4, expected 7.2 to a 6.8. So I'm actually a bit surprised that the market is still expecting a 25 basis point rate hike to come from the RBA, given that inflation, CPI, you can see here over the last two data release on the 1st of March and on the 29th of March, basically went from an 8.4 to a 6.8. Quite a significant drop in terms of inflation that we might actually, I thought that the RBA might say, inflation is dropping, let's hold off, let's wait and see whether the cumulative effect of the previous interest rate hikes is going to take on more impact. So it's a bit surprising that we might see a 25 basis point rate hike tomorrow. Okay, but I'll tell you more about the Aussie dollar with the interest rate decision. Those of you who have been following on for quite long knows that. Hi, I am Miko. Somebody, Nambert just said, is it me? I can't hear. Let me know if you guys, well, I'm just saying, let me know if you guys can hear me, but you obviously can't hear me if I say that. Any issues with sound? All right, thanks, Granby. Nambert. And once again, if you have no sound, maybe do a quick refresh. We'll be here. Thanks, Leader. TradingView has connection issues. Just refresh if any hiccups. Okay, great. Cool. So it works on YouTube as well. It works on TradingView. Oh yeah, by the way, Pedro did drop me a message on Friday. Yes, on Friday last week, where he said that the stream on Friday was jumping forward. So if this does happen again, I'm keeping watch of this. But if this does happen again, do let me know as well. There is YouTube. I think it doesn't jump forward. But if it happens quite often, then we'll do a quick feedback to TradingView. Hopefully, it takes feedbacks. Okay, so I was talking about the cash rate for the Aussie 12:30 tomorrow. Through my analysis, what I found, or my previous analysis, what I found is that typically the Aussie dollar does drop, right? The Aussie dollar does drop following the interest rate decision from the RBA. A rate increase still leads to the Aussie dollar dropping. Um, so might we might be looking at Aussie dollar dropping, right? But it all depends on what's going to happen on the dollar from now till tomorrow, and then also where is the Aussie dollar. Okay, so I still look at support and resistance levels to play a part, not just expecting it to drop and then looking to sell down regardless of the key levels. Vinesha said, "Thank you for explanations. My first time live on your channel and find your analysis very interesting. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that comment." Tab was muted. Okay, good that you can hear us. Don't put me on mute. That's just not nice. All right. So with that, now looking at the dollar index, we're not in March anymore. We're on the 3rd of April. Okay, the dollar index traded up as we were looking at it to break above that 102.40. I was anticipating for it to climb towards max of 102.80. It did a bit more than that, so I thought 102.80 was that previous high that we saw. It broke above 102.80, went to 103, but has since retraced. All right, so let me just take those arrows away. At this 103 level, I would love to have blasted a message out to everyone and say, just watch out, 103 round number level could look to retrace, but I can't reach out to all of you at the same time. We're working on that. It is now retracing back down below that, just nice right now below that 102.80 level. With that, and if this, as it looks like it's gaining momentum as much as I'm talking, I'm looking for it to, in the next 30 minutes, if it close, DXY, if close below 102.80, we could see it drop back down to test 102.60 and then possibly down to 102.40. Well, look to test 102.60 and 102.40. Right, so that's the view on the dollar index. The directional bias is most likely going to be more confirmed at the close of this hour, especially if the price keeps dropping like that. Okay, so I might look to review this line later into the session. Okay, so with that, then we look at the Kiwi dollar. Right, this was what I was sharing with you guys on Friday. I was sharing with you all on Friday, where I told you I wish I could have told you that it's hit a resistance, it traded all the way back down. At this point, we were looking for it to test this trend line, this bullish trend line, for it to bounce back up. Okay, so I've done the analysis last week for this week. At this point, if the dollar does continue pushing down, that's going to spur the Kiwi dollar back up. All right, the Kiwi dollar back up. So what I'm looking for here in this case is 6 is my birthday, Jin. Happy birthday in 3 days. I am Miko. I hope I'm giving you good birthday presents in terms of possible trade ideas. But normal disclaimer still applies. All right. So price came down, hit that upward trend line, pushing back up. I am still looking. Could even go for 30 pips just to be in that range. Yeah, it could. I think 25 would be reasonable. Okay, so 0.6230, 25 pip stop loss, 60 pip take profit, back up to that resistance level. That would be what I'll be looking for the Kiwi dollar. Right, so we said no trade price to track down to 0.6220. So now we're looking to buy from 0.6230, stop loss 25 pips, take profit 60 pips, as we were just talking about. There we go. Okay, so that's my Kiwi dollar to the upside, looking for it to bounce off this upward trend line. The Aussie dollar, unfortunately, this was a trade. If we did jump into it, would have lost on this trade because it spiked down. Can't move this away. It spiked down and then would have triggered the trade, bounced back up, and hit our stop loss. Okay, so that was not a good trade there. It didn't sustain the move to the downside. At this point, I wouldn't be looking to get into a trade on the Aussie, right? Because we're looking at it as a correlation. Dollar dropping, we're going to see Aussie and Kiwi push up. I like the Kiwi more because it's bouncing off, or most likely going to bounce off this trend line to the upside. The Aussie is just right in the middle there, and we do have Aussie interest rates decision tomorrow. Okay, so because of that, I would say I would be a bit more cautious or a bit more hands off on the Aussie dollar. I'll show you this example where the last meeting on the 7th of March. So we go back to the 7th of March. Where is it? Right about there. Okay. So 7th of March at 12, see, look at that. Interest rate decision was to take it from 3.35, 25 basis point rate hike to 3.6%. And what do we see on the Aussie dollar? Look, RBA interest rate decision 7th of March. It pushed up a little bit and then after that traded back down again. Right, pushed up a little bit before trading back down quite significantly. This push down was also because of that strength on the dollar index. So now, back to the present, is that I'm possibly looking at the Aussie dollar pushing up, right? Trading up towards this resistance level of 670, 6710, 672. No, actually, I'll tell you what. I like 673025, 6730 here. Right? Just because it tested that level and turned back down. So what I'm looking for is between now till the Aussie interest rates tomorrow, we could see this push up, but I'm looking for it to test that resistance and then turn back down. All right, test the resistance and turn back down. Good morning, Ayola from Nigeria. Good to have you here. Thank you for saying hi. So Aussie dollar, what I'm looking for is a test and a reject of 6730. So about 6725, I would say. Stop loss about 15 to 20 pips. I could say 20 pips stop loss. A take profit of about 50 pips to the downside after the interest rate decision tomorrow. Okay, so I'll move that about there. So we're looking for that move on the Aussie dollar. If it tests and reject that 6730 level. If it doesn't, if it does break up and get to that 6758 or 6760, then you could also be looking for a possible sell at that point back down. So again, about a 20 pip stop loss. In this case, you could be looking at an 80 pip take profit to the downside. Right, so possibly multiple trade opportunities on the Aussie dollar. Just have to be patient, wait for it. Let's see where does price get to. before looking to sell it down with the news decision tomorrow. All right, dollar still dropping very strongly. So I'm looking for Aussie as a first level to test 0.6730, test and reject 0.6730. Then we're looking to sell with down with a 25 pip stop, with a stop loss of 25 and a TP of about sometimes I think faster than I type, 50 pips. Alrighty. Okay, so that was the Kiwi dollar. I'm looking for this to push up. Hey, I'm not telling you to get into a trade, but in the next couple of minutes at 4 o'clock, if the candle closes like that, I would be looking at a trade. I'm not telling you that you should, but disclaimers do applies. And then the Aussie dollar looking for it to push up, reject that level, and turn back down. US yen, I'll tell you that I did the analysis on US yen here, right? I was looking at a bullish ascending triangle. I was looking for it to break out above that 133.60 level to possibly reclaim that 135 level. Unfortunately, it came right up to that 133.60, failed to break higher, and then retrace back down. So it's going to consolidate at this level for a while before we're going to see that upside move. So this one that we spoke about on Friday didn't trigger, right? It didn't trigger. So let's keep it up to date and take all that away. Okay? No, go away. So with that, right, we do have that high there at 133.80. Still looking for that push to the upside. All right, I'm still looking for that upward move on the US yen. Looking to see if it'll come down, test a little bit, or just consolidate this level. If it does, my initial target when it was breaking 133, I was thinking, hey, 134 would be a good level to hit. But because it's so near to 134, 50 pips away, I would say 135, because there's nothing here. There's nothing at 134. So I'd say 135 would be a good resistance level. In this case, you could be looking for a buy above 133.80 at to be extra safe. If it closes above 134, 80, 90 pip take profit. Because it's breaking a round number level, I would say go tight. You can go tight on your stop loss, so about 30 pips, a 1:3 risk reward ratio to the upside for the US yen. All right, look at that dollar. I'm just thinking of getting into trades right now, just looking at the dollar drop. So I'm looking at buy above 134, wait for the candle to close, stop loss of about 30 pips, and take profit about 90 to that 135 resistance level. Okay, all good. Hey, and again, don't want to nag, but if you haven't already, do help me out. Click that thumbs up button, click that little rocket ship button. Whether you're on YouTube or on TradingView, there is a button for you to click. Do help me out, click that. Helps with the algorithm to help us get found by more people sharing this information right across the board. All right, so if you haven't already, just help me out, do that. Hey Kavindu, how are you doing? Dollar index now, it's closing. Looks like it will close below 102.80. Looks like it's coming very close to testing 102.60 and then 102.40. I'm pretty sure I have to revise this towards the end of the session. Okay, so that's the US yen done. Pound dollar, great trade we had here. This is a bit of a fake news there because the trade didn't trigger, didn't close below, so you would have got in. Let me move this across. You would have got in there, right? You would have got in there as it broke that trend line, as it broke that support level to trade down. So this was a good 50 pip move to the downside on the pound dollar on Friday. Did any of you jump onto this trade on the pound dollar? Put it into the chat. Let me know, especially my friends in the UK. Did you trade against your dollar? Did you trade against your currency? And I know one person in the UK. Well, I know many people in the UK, but I know one person who's on the stream from the UK. All right, so the pound, let me know if you did jump into that. M Leader didn't trade on Friday. Damn. All right, so pound dollar did drop 50 pips. I'll tell you that I didn't get into this trade because I got into the next one I'm going to talk to you about. All right, so this was a good move to the downside. Let's take that away. Spiros is asking for Aussie Cat. I will get to that shortly. Came down, broke that 1.23 level, support level, briefly before bouncing back up again. Okay, before bouncing back up again. So if I looked at this as a whole, that trend line was broken. So I'm tempted to take that away just to clean the chart up. And also, all right, let's take that away just to clean the chart up a bit, because now that it's broken, it's invalid already. And all these little circles around the place. And let's do a check on this. Right, so look, if you haven't tuned into the Fibonacci class that I did last week on Wednesday, I think, do make sure you jump onto that session. It's available here on TradingView and also on YouTube. Price ran all the way down, retraced, tested that 61.8. So sometimes you're looking at it and going, why did the pound dollar come all the way down to that 1.2276 or 1.2280 area and bounce, right? It broke a support. Why didn't it go all the way down? Because of that 61.8 fib level there, which is why we saw price test this level, right, in alignment, and then now bouncing back up, also because of that dollar weakness being applied at this point. If the dollar weakness does continue and price on the pound stays above 1.23, what you could be looking for here is a possible buy up, right? A possible buy up, I would say 1.2325. Take profit about 70 pips, right? Stop loss, I would say 50 would be the safest, but you could even have it at about 30, just below that 1.23 support level. Okay, because we are entering at a very elevated level just to be safe. So I would say that, stop loss at about 30, take profit at about 70, or 1:2.3 to the upside. I'll take this away because it's a little bit irrelevant. Hesitation level would be at that between that 61.8 and 50% level, maybe 61.8. So let's do that. Okay, and we take this down, 61.8 as well. US 30 showed me flames. Good flames or bad flames? crash and burn or flames like rocket flames to the up. Okay, what was I going to say? Okay, so possible hesitation level. So there's 70 pip take profit. Possible hesitation level at about that 1.2365 level. Okay, so again, pound dollar looking to buy up above 1.2325, stop loss 30, take profit 70. Pound dollar, we made money, or you would have made money on the sell down. Now we're looking to buy from 1.2365, 1.23, terrible, 1.2325. It's very close, very close. 1.2325, stop loss about 30 pips, take profit about 70 pips. There we go. All right, easily done. Now looking at the euro dollar, this was the trade that I got into. I forgone or forgo on the pound dollar, did get into the euro dollar because this just had a little bit more alignment to it, right? Broke that support level, broke that trend line to the upside. Once it broke 1, 2 down, or 1 and 2 at the same time downwards, I did get into a trade. I didn't set an order there. I did actually enter the trade manually, right? And then I trade, and then it just went this morning to the downside. Okay, a little bit of a surprise. I didn't think it was going to happen so quickly. I think obviously OPEC decision was one of the big decision or big news that drove it down. That's why we saw this big push to the downside. Okay, took a little bit. I entered it a lot later than I expected, but it happened a lot faster than I expected as well. Okay, so that was good 50 pips to the downside on the euro dollar. Anyone got onto the euro dollar on late Friday night? Actually, it was more like early Saturday morning. Anyone? Euro dollar? It was a good trade setup. Okay, so euro dollar traded down, bouncing off that 1.079 level, right? Bouncing off this level, and I'm pretty sure if we did this, we'll probably identify that as that 61.8, right? See that. Okay, so now that it's bouncing back up, I will be a bit more careful, right? So I'll take this away because it's broken. I would say I'll be a bit more careful because it is coming close to this level. You know, you would only be looking to buy it up if it breaks above 1.0860, back up towards that 1.0930 level. Okay, so some waiting to do there. You could be looking at about a 60 pip move to the upside, stop loss of maybe about 20 pips. So 1.087, let's say 1.0870. Stop loss 60 pips, take profit 20 pips. Petrol flames. Hey, petrol flames are expensive now because crude and WTI just shot up. All right, so euro dollar, we're looking to buy up. This will be a bit of a later kind of trade. 1.0870. Where was I? 1.0870. Stop loss about 20, take profit about 60 pips. Done and dusted. All right, 10 more minutes to the dollar index close, or candle on the dollar index closing. Let's see whether it's going to continue that downward momentum. Then US Swiss franc pushing down as well, right? We spoke about this already, the CPI data causing no more further rate increases. We saw that fluctuation within that hour, and then now it's trading lower because of it being dragged down by the dollar index. If it does break below 0.91 670 or 68. You could look to sell it down, quite similar to this move as before. All right, we could revise our stop loss, a support level there. So you could be looking at a sell, let's say 0.9160, stop loss about 20 pips, take profit 30 pips. I don't really like this a lot, just because we had relatively good news in terms of inflation numbers slowing down. So it should see some upside on the US Swiss franc. Why it's dropping is because of dollar index. That conflict of alignment might work in the short term. I'm just wondering whether it's going to continue down, right? And also just because it's forming that higher highs there, it might just come down to that 9150 level and then bounce back up. Because of that, I would say no trade. I'll stick to no trade on the US Swiss franc. Spiros, you retracted a message. What do you say? All right. US CAD, looking for it to push up, didn't happen. So let's take that away. Heavily influenced. Zoom in and show you that. It was heavily influenced. That we had that gap as well. Right? We had a similar gap on the US CAD as what we saw on the WTI and on Brent because of the OPEC decision. But it's covered that gap, and then now it's continuing on with that downward push. Okay, so we could even be looking at that. It is right at that 1.35 level. What I would say is wait for it to break that nice round number. You can see that it tried to 1.3490 and then a rebound. So now we're looking for it to break below that low, right? Or at least close below 1.35 before we're going to see it trade lower again. Okay, so super risk adverse trade given that dollar weakness is 1.3485. Okay, stop loss, I would say just above 1.35, 1.3510. Take profit towards the next support at 1.3445. And that was a level that was visited 21st, 22nd, 20th, and 21st of Feb. All right, so that's the anticipation for the US CAD continuing on with that downside. So 1.3485, 25 pip to 40 pips. Sell. So that buy didn't happen. So we're going to sell 1.3 what? 3485. 34. Stop loss 25. TP 40. Not a very good risk to reward trade because it is at a very, very low point right now. Okay. Hey, looks like YouTube is winning. We've got a lot more likes. We've got almost double the amount of likes on YouTube compared to TradingView. So come on, guys. Now we look at gold and then we'll do Aussie CAD for Spiros. Gold, finally it broke out of that trend line channel. I got so shocked that I'm choking myself. Right? So it dropped out from that, right? It dropped out because of that dollar strength. Right now, pushing back up because of that dollar weakness, that inverse relationship on gold and the dollar. We see that all the time. what you could be looking for, right? If I just extended this trend line or this channel, right, to the upside is I would be looking now if that dollar continues to weaken, could this is the decision point, right? This is the decision point right here. If it does break above 1964 and also about 1970, right, you could be looking to buy up towards the top of the channel. So about 1970 up towards that 1992. It's been trending slightly higher, and then stop loss at about that 19. No, we can do it a bit nearer. 1965 level, right? So I would take a lot, so-called a lot lower risk. Vinesha, yes, I will do pound yen as well. So we can see that if it does bounce up, then we could be looking for that push up. Keeping the stop quite tight, just because if it does break, then it's likely to keep shooting down. So no point taking on that big risk. I think if it does drop, we're going to see a test of the support level again. All right. So 1970 to 1992, stop loss at 1964. Gold looking for upside to 1992. Okay, looking upside from 1970 to 1992. Stop loss at about 1965. I remember that one. I'm not talking about years here, people. I'm talking about price levels. All right, cool. So that's done. Any questions so far? You guys has been a little bit quiet, apart from my Miko, Spiros, and Vinisha. Anyone else got a question or good? If it's good, let me know. Looking for feedback and comments. Aussie, where's my Aussie CAD? Aussie. I don't have Aussie CAD. How can I not have Aussie CAD? Kiwi CAD. All right, no Aussie CAD then. Let's do Aussie CAD. Aussie CAD, I'm pretty sure we should have had it. Okay, so Aussie CAD, we were looking at this. It's actually quite interesting. Look at this. This was an analysis that we did way back, well, not way back, on the 21st of March, identifying that triangle, looking for both that breakout potential, shot down, could have closed out, finally closed up and would have hit take profit. That was cool. Totally forgot about that trade. I don't usually do cross pairs. Now, given that it has dropped, let me just find the level. All right, so it's come down to this point. That's a support level there. So it came, well, it didn't come close. It went to that about 0.9 level, round number level, bounce back up. Looks like it's going to push up. We do have a bit of an interim level there, about 9050. Do I see a head and shoulders on the daily time frame? Okay, let me just do this. Let me just clear out everything again. Are you talking about this? If you're talking about that, yes, I do. And also, given that if you're talking about that, that's the neckline. Sorry, can't draw a straight line. That's the neckline there. So it is. Let me just do a bit better on that line. All right. So that's the neckline there. So it is testing to break that neckline. The thing about Aussie CAD, I do know that there's a pattern on the daily time frame. It's a bit. I don't really like trading patterns on the daily time frame. Aussie dollar with the interest rate decision tomorrow, we could see that weakness come back into play, so that could push it down. The CAD has been, strengthening, so that could push it down together. I do see it playing out. I do see it playing out on this time frame. A big move. 86 currently at 0.9 could drop to 0.86 as a very big move. This is also a good level. It's a nice round number here. So I don't mind this move that much. H4 time frame looks like it's rebounding. H1 time frame looking like it's rebounding. I would say that you could be looking at the Aussie CAD bouncing back up a little bit, right? Bouncing back up a little bit before turning back down in as a round number level at 0.9 there, or let's say 0.8990 there. You could be looking to sell down. Aggressive entry would be looking for a rejection of this point before turning down. Safer one would be to look for it to break that 0.8990 level before trading to the downside, right? Ultimately depends on what the Canadian dollar is going to do, together with the oil decision recently and also the RBA interest rate decision tomorrow. Very nice spot there, Spiros, on the head and shoulder pattern on the daily time frame. Might see some retracements. Price does need to close lower than the 0.8990 on the daily time frame to really signal that sell down on the head and shoulder pattern. All right, cool. You're most welcome. Thank you, Kavindu. New to trading. Hey, if you have any questions, please feel free. Let us know. We'll be happy to guide you through. Especially as you're new, you need a lot of good information. There's a lot of information online. Wouldn't say it's super good information. So let's all work together and help everyone get more profitable. Dollar index has a tiny gap at 102.59 area. Given the speed it can drop to, they're good for scalping. Well, you can't scalp the dollar index. One M leader. That little gap you're talking about there. It is in the new hour. It is bouncing. We always anticipate a little bit of a bounce on the new hour. Now all I'm looking for is whether it can test and bounce off this support level back up. Okay, so it's bouncing. It would affect all the other pairs, but we're going to see what happens as this develops. It could very well, see, we're looking at it to close below 1.0280. It did that. It came very close to testing 1.0260, and now it's bouncing back up. Okay, good. Yeah, you can't scalp the dollar index. You can scalp other pairs. So we've done that, and then pound yen for Angel case. Hey Suki, how are you doing? Hi Jin. If an H4 is showing uptrend and the H1 is showing downtrend, which one would be reliable time frame to follow? I would say naturally the H4 will be the time frame to follow. What you normally see is, the bigger time frame is always the stronger view. So you might see it, an H1 trading up, it's going to trade up and then possibly push back down again. Things to consider as well, Suki, will be also why are we seeing that push to the upside on the H1 time frame or the downside on the H1 time frame? Just because it could be a news that could cause a change in direction, just that H4 hasn't reflected it yet. Okay, so it takes a while for H4 trend to change, but generally trend is stronger on the H4 time frame. Okay, pound yen, we were looking at this. We're looking for this to trade down. It failed on us. It failed on us because of the yen pushing up, and also because of the pound dollar pushing, well, fluctuating within its range. Right now, I would say that looks like it's going to be stuck in this range. Pound yen is going to be between 164 and 165.50. I don't think we're going to see a big clear direction on the pound yen. So I think we might see that. Even if it does break down from 164, right? So even if it does break from 164, I wouldn't be looking to trade it down to that 163.20 level that we saw here, because we had a reflection point there. All right, so maybe what you could be looking for on the pound yen is if it comes down a little bit, look for it to reject and bounce. You could be looking to buy it up. I would prefer that move, right? Bounce, push back up, following the trend to the upside. Alternatively, if it does push up, then I do know some people in my team who would be looking to sell it down from that 165.50 level, right? But at this point, nothing too interesting there. In your case, you're most welcome there, Suki. Alrighty. So now a quick review of what has happened. Oh wait, so pound yen, I would say ranging between 164 and 165.50. Oh, right. So you can see that did try to push up. Looks like it's struggling to push up because it's given away that recent gains. So now looking at the other pairs again, just a quick recap. I tell you what I might be doing right after this stream is I might be jumping into the Kiwi dollar, do your own analysis. Aussie dollar, I'm looking for that to continue pushing up. Look for that rejection for tomorrow. US yen, I'm happy I made my couple. I did this trade. I forgot to tell you guys. So I got in morning. I looked at that. I saw that pin bar. Right, I saw that pin bar at that 133 level. Then 133.30, I did get into a trade there. Right, so I was like, okay, pin bar, push up, following to the upside, following trend up. I did get into that trade. I had a 130, I was aiming for 134, right? I was aiming for 134. My stop loss was quite tight at about 20 pips, just below that previous candle level. I did get out at about this point. I did got out at about 133.60. I got about 30 something pips to the upside. Right? Why I got out there, I just looked at that high and I saw how it was struggling to break. I'll take that away. It was struggling to break that high, the two candles there. So, when it finally broke out, I thought it might be a fake break. I just closed out my trade at that point. Mania, Kiwi dollar does look good. I'm looking to get out of the stream and possibly jump into that trade. It is retracing a little bit right now, so be a bit careful. But I am looking at that. It's a good risk to reward kind of trade. It is bouncing. Reasonable risk level to take on for this. Okay, so pound dollar didn't trigger, trading back down, still looking for that push. Euro dollar as well. So everything is just retracing a little bit because of how the dollar shot down and is retracing slightly. So it's all retracing a bit, but give it a bit of time, right? After this retrace, look for it to break this 102.60. We might see a big downward move. We might see a big downward move. Tesla 7, you just joined. Can you show us some of the trades that we can take right now? I've just done a quick review of that. Sorry, I just saw your message, but I just did a quick review of that. What we do here as well is that I will be uploading, right, this summary, and you can also catch the review or recording of this webinar at any point in time as well. All right, so we do start here 3 p.m. GMT plus 8, Monday to Friday. Not this Friday because it is Good Friday. If you do have any questions, please feel free to let me know. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow, right again. Hopefully, I've done a good trade on the Aussie dollar tomorrow by the time we speak at 3 p.m. So with that said, please trade well, trade safe. I'll see you tomorrow. And if you haven't already, click that like, click that subscribe button, and click that thumbs up, click that rocket ship button for me. Thank you all. Take care now. Bye-bye.